What's going on, everybody? We've got JT here, we've got David over at Crypto for Change, and we've got C Will with the Passive Income Network. This is the next block, and it is currently, just for tradition's sake, it is currently block 21,239,309. How's everyone doing?
I'm good. I am excellent. Went up to a beautiful sunrise this morning to get myself right energy, get my spiritual connections on, and now we hyped, ready for this market, and chopping it up with y'all.
Yeah, same. I actually did some exercising today for the first time in a while.
Oh
Went out
shit.
and rollerblade.
Congrats.
I like rollerblading, so I rollerbladed down to the pier. But I was expecting to throw in some buys for Algo. I saw it running down. I was getting excited, but it didn't touch my orders I have set yet. So just waiting. Thinking we'll probably see it here soon, if not within the next couple days. But we will see.
Hey, I got some exercise in today too. Totally not planned. It's just that I don't have access to my car 'cause it's in the shop right now, and I rode my bike. I rode my bike to the store. So I mean, my legs were
Nice.
pretty sore afterwards because I thought it was closer than it actually was. But that being said, I mean, what are your buys at? I'm curious.
Yeah.
For me, I've already bought a decent amount right around the 40 cents area.
Well, I mean, the ones you have set that didn't
Yeah,
hit.
yeah, that's what so since I already made my buys there, I'm looking more towards seeing if it retests that 34 cents that it just did. If it does, depending upon how it behaves there, will determine what I do. But I'm looking right there, right around the lower 30 cents, like 32, 33. And then if it falls through there, my next one's probably going to be around 25 cents is where I do have I would load quite a bit more at 22 to 25 cents. I mean, I'm just thinking like $1,000. How many algos?
Man.
Just a
Four
thousand
for
dollars
one
would
or
get you.
four for a
Yeah,
dollar at that point.
exactly. So yeah, I'm
Yeah.
definitely excited. I mean, if we see 25 cents, and the thing is, we could see lower. I know everybody's saying could see new all-time lows. I don't. I mean, I hope we really don't see new all-time lows because I think that is detrimental
Yeah.
on a
Yeah.
lot of things. But if we wick down, if there's another big capitulation event, who knows, Luna 2 imploding, day one. I'm just kidding. I don't think that'll happen. But, whatever it could be, 25 cents, 22 cents algo is where I'm looking to really load the boat. But right now, I'm just kind of watching, ranging. I might even short a little bit if the market turns overly bearish, but
Oof.
not a huge amount.
So what's y'all feeling of like with y'all fear and greed index? Like when you're really fearful with Algorand, is it 17 cent, 25 cent, 30 cent? Where y'all at with y'all fear?
I don't I don't really think I'm fearful of a price just because I see the value in it.
Yep.
I mean, obviously, leveraged wise, how fast we were to go down there, I would definitely have to, pay down some things or make sure I pay down some things so I don't get liquidated. If we dropped like, to 10 cents or something like, in a
Yeah.
week, I definitely had to be on my toes. But, outside of that, I feel like my fear, or greed comes more from the outside factors of Algorand, things that Algorand can't control. Algorand's doing all the things it needs to do to continue growing and being, a blockchain that's used in the future. But as far as the overall world, I mean, I feel like there's a lot of fear out there. There's definitely reasons to be fearful. Not only does the recession word keep getting thrown around a lot right now, but
Oh
you're
yeah.
hearing depression. And I mean, I have no idea what a depression would even look like in today's world
Hey,
versus,
go back to
what they,
1932.
yeah. I
It's
mean,
gonna
and
be
even,
bad.
yeah, there's a lot of people who say, not every 90 years is when we've had a depression, I guess, going back the last two depressions. So like
Yeah.
technically we're in that time range where it could be if it does repeat. I don't know. It just very interesting to say the least. But as far as price wise, I mean, I would just see those prices as like, buying opportunities.
For sure. What about you, JT?
Yeah, he pretty much hit the nail on the head. I mean, I don't think we're going into depression territory. I do think we're in for probably a normal average size, maybe a little bit longer than average size recession. Um,
Well,
but that
average
being,
recession 6 or 9 months, right?
yeah, they say I think it's actually around 11, but we have had some like upwards of like 18 months plus, so it could be on the upper band of that for sure. Really wouldn't shock me to be honest. And as David pointed out, it really is, it would be a great buying opportunity. It's not great for anybody that might need access to that money and
Yep.
is seeing their money, in asset value decline. But for anybody that has the ability to hold on for the next 5, 10, 15 years, the next couple of months to couple years really could be an opportunity of a lifetime to build your bags full of amazing assets and just hold on for the ride.
Yeah, I mean, right now, man, I'm like been buying a little chunks here and there, but I'm about to reestablish my dollar cost averaging and then go back into like maybe some reason I like to buy on Fridays, but average out every Friday again. And then my fear would definitely be if Algorand hit 1 cent, I'm like, oh, I'll be like, it's over.
All right, so
Well,
But
here,
here's my thing. I don't necessarily have a price where I'd actually be fearful. It would have to be an event. You know what I mean? Like if all of crypto was tumbling like drastically, like 99%, and Algo was with it, then that's fine. That's one thing. Maybe, maybe the market is just getting destroyed and I was wrong and we are in a depression. But if it
yep,
was just Algorand or some bad news came out or something like that, then yeah, I would jump ship. But honestly, if it was the entire industry and really like tech sector stocks and everything else, I would still be buying at 1 cent, 5 cents. I mean, I really wouldn't get too concerned.
yeah,
I'd probably
yeah.
exhaust a lot of my money on the way down though, but because I wouldn't believe that we'd get that low to be real.
Yeah, that's what would happen to me. But yeah, I definitely buying opportunity. I scaled down and I'm not interested in most cryptos at this point, other than like Bitcoin and Algorand. Maybe a little something here and there, but definitely Algorand. I just became more and more bullish during this bear market because of the fundamentals. The technology is definitely, as we all know, the best stuff out in the market, and the world's gonna see.
yeah,
Yep,
I
yep. Damien and
actually,
I have the same exact game plan. He said he's only buying algo and real estate with Lofty AI. That's exactly what
Facts.
I've been doing. I've just been
Yep.
buying Algorand little bits every day and Lofty AI tokens probably like once a week or once every other week, depending on my situation. But yeah, that's really like the only thing I'm loading the boat with.
Only thing. Yeah.
it's interesting because I saw someone tweet out. I couldn't find the tweet, so I just had to go Google search, what they were talking about to see the numbers. But it's estimated that, but over the
Excuse
next
me.
20 years, so like you've heard people talk about, this wealth transfer, right? Or like how how money's going to move and whatnot. And this is, the time right now. This could be a really big time to take advantage, be in good assets that could, make you a lot of money down the road. But also, millennials and obviously younger, some of the younger generations are set to become some of the wealthiest people over the next 20 years because of, generations passing on and their money being, pushed down, to the next generation and whatnot. It's estimated anywhere between like 50 to 68 trillion dollars is estimated to be passed along to that next generation. And it's like, it's going to be interesting to see, with right now where Bitcoin is, everybody charts, right, all of where, this cycle is going to go. But, in the grand scheme of things, Bitcoin has not gone through a recession, nonetheless, a depression or anything else during the
Nope.
past cycles. So every time I see these charts, I take them with a grain of salt because even though, yes, Bitcoin touched at this line the last two times, well, that was when the markets were a lot more favorable and in more favorable conditions, where we have not seen what could possibly come for Bitcoin. And especially as this money moves from smart, long-term investors into young, exciting, maybe not as, financially savvy. And I'm sure some people will have their, things in place to help steward that money, but it will be interesting to see how this great wealth from just, big money going into their kids and whatnot, how they, invest and what they will invest in. That's also why I'm bullish in the whole digital sector, because I feel like younger people are going to want to invest in more digital things, Bitcoin, blockchain technology, cryptos, tokenized assets. So that's, when everybody asks me, why am I so bullish on crypto? That's still one of the biggest reasons, because you have to think all the people who are buying into gold and physical things, like, yes, those are still going to be important, but there's going to be also tons of, new investors who are going to get an influx of money and be able to invest that accordingly, however they want.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, perfectly said. And then we've got a comment that also is perfectly said. I'll go at 1 cent. Back the U-Haul up. Absolutely. Absolutely. So what do you think of the ongoing market currently? I mean, I notice every time, every time like Bitcoin or Algo goes down like 2 or 5 or 6%, everyone kind of freaks out, but like realistically, when you look at the charts, we've been moving sideways for about 2 weeks now. I mean, this is Bitcoin, so Algo's a little bit lower than this, but ultimately we've been moving sideways for about 2 weeks, and really it's pretty boring if you ask me. For anybody trading this range right now, it's probably incredible, but
You're making a
I'm not
killing.
I'm not actively trading, even though I probably should have. That being said, yeah, what are you guys thinking? You think we're going to go up anytime soon, down anytime soon? You think we're just going to be sideways for a while until the next Federal Reserve meetings? What do you guys think?
I think
So me,
tomorrow is going to be a pretty important day, especially with the Terra Luna launching 2.0. I think you're going to see some volatility. I'm not saying that it's going to, be a drastic 20% or, something like that, but I do believe tomorrow there will be some volatility in the markets, expecting to see, I would assume, to be downward pressure, but who knows? Bitcoin could bounce. It did touch back into 28K today, and it's already back into 29. Algorand also had a slight dip. It went down to like 36 cents this morning. It did push back up to 40, and now it's sitting right around like 39 cents. So I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, I would expect volatility. And also, I don't know where the market maker said win zero. I don't know where the tweet was, but someone said that June historically has been one of the worst months for the Algo token and price action. So, if for those who are hoping that June's going to bring some good things, I mean, maybe this is the year that it does different, but that's just
Yeah.
something to keep in mind.
I mean, to be fair, too, with projections like that, it's easier to do historical project. Well, it's easier to try to predict the future when you have more historical points to go off of. So a chart like Bitcoin that has 12 years of history, you can kind of get a little bit more of an accurate tell on like how it's going to play out, because history does tend to at least rhyme. But with things like Algo, you really only have like 2 years of data points on that or
Yeah.
whatever. So it is
yeah,
it is kind of difficult to
And most
assess
of those
if
have been read anyway, so
yeah,
I
yeah,
don't really
exactly.
know what months are really
But
considered the
yeah.
best to invest in algo at this point. We'll have to wait. I mean, obviously,
Who
it could be
knows?
all the times we're buying right now.
But
but
I
it is kind of a
definitely
perfect. Oh, go for it, Sewell.
no. I'll just say I definitely just based on following the overall tech industry now that basically crypto as a technology is now tied in because of VCs and things of that nature. I still see everything going down more until definitely this winter is where I'm headed. And I do know hedge funds and all that, they have to rotate their capital. So there is like certain quarters where the market is going to go down regardless based on like them redistributing capital and taking profits and things like that.
Yeah,
But
I still hold strong that I think November-ish is going to be around where the bottom is.
yeah,
Whether it's a little bit lower from here, a lot lower from here, it could be just a little bit, and we just move sideways, and we actually start to round out in November. But really, it's a perfect segue into what J.P. Morgan was saying about Bitcoin, saying that the fair value is about 28 to 30% higher than it is now, and they say cryptocurrencies are now its preferred alternative asset, which is a big statement to come out of such a large bank.
yeah,
I'll just say this: I take headlines like this so like
Oh, with a
wishy
grain of
washy.
salt. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
They're
yeah.
like it was like there was the Guggenheim guy who was saying that he sees Bitcoin going to 8,000, here in the next coming little bit of time, and like literally the guy in 2020 was the same, still CEO is saying that he sees Bitcoin going to 400,000 then. So it's funny that they flip, whatever they need to put out there to kind of entice the market, which is why I say I think we still could be seeing a relief rally come soon, especially with big players. Kathy Wood just applied for a spot BTF or Bitcoin ETF.
BTA.
So, there's definitely things that could happen to, make the market pump some, but I still think, like you said, JT, I still think we're not going to see a decent run. We're going to still see lower lows.
So
Yeah, I
yeah,
think market maker real quick is right that J.P. Morgan wants some exit
excellent,
liquidity.
liquidity.
Hey, I'd be
Probably.
fine. Let them pump this market up, get the market pumped. We can all take a little bit of exit liquidity, and then we can all short it back to 15 cents, 10 cents.
So look, I want y'all to pull this up because I think this one's important. Seeing that J.P. Morgan's at the top of these banks right here, so I feel definitely their opinion matters. We all know the CEO Jamie Dimon was against Bitcoin for a while, but the company is not against Bitcoin based on them offering services to their high end clients and whatnot. China's out of this picture, so I think it really is up to U.S. to U.S. banks to get this mass adoption going. Looking at Morgan Stanley, Wells Fargo,
Yeah, it'd be really
that.
interesting. I know JP
Yeah,
Morgan's been in the space for a couple of years, and as we spoke prior to this going live, we were talking about how they had their JPM coin. They've been big into the
yep,
Ethereum chain, and so forth. So they're not too shy on the industry. But
no,
as Market Maker pointed out, and as we spoke of before we went live, I mean, you definitely have to sometimes almost assume the opposite of what
Yeah.
some of these big banks say when it comes to like investment advice, even though it's not really necessarily advice.
yeah. Never
It's
listen to
like
these
Kramer.
headlines.
You got to do
Yeah,
the Kramer
Oh
inverse.
no,
opposite.
yeah,
Yeah,
Kramer is in that absolute inverse trade.
But I
yeah.
just want to
Like
know, how do
Kramer's the
people still
worst.
watch his show? Like, how do people tune in to
Oh,
listen to him?
it's
I
for
mean,
that
is it
inverse
just
trade.
comical?
I think
Is it
it's for the
almost like,
inverse trade.
yeah?
Yeah, I
Is it?
think
I was
so
about to say,
too.
is it almost like watching ESPN and like watching Stephen A. Smith? You watch it just because you want to go laugh and hear his ridiculous, takes, not really because what he says has any, truth to it.
Yeah, yeah, definitely Kramer. Like I was watching 30 Rock, the older show. So the episode was probably let's say 2008 or something like that. And then they were like, what's his name? I can't remember. Alec Baldwin's character is like, oh, I thought Kramer died months ago. And this is 2008 when they said Kramer died. And I was like, damn, he really is like, use him for inverse. If Kramer's
Right?
buying it, remember when he was
Sell it.
selling Bitcoin? Bitcoin shot up to the 65,000. Like anytime Kramer's on it, opposite, y'all.
Yep. Yeah, 100%. I think there's
I did
even
hear Market Maker was saying, he may even know this. He was saying they were one of the seed round investors of ETH. Someone tweeted out, I saw a lot of people saying it was FUD, and it's not true. I don't really know if it is true, but apparently some people back in 2014 are getting some ICO or initial ETH that they bought, vesting wise, is getting distributed out today, and that's why some of the prices you're seeing drop. I don't know the validity to that, but I don't even, because I don't know all the initial ICO tokenomics of Ethereum, but I mean that could be for it could be something that's causing some red in the market today.
I do know they invested in them. They're like hella supportive of Ethereum,
Yeah,
which is crazy because I'm like, how are you gonna like? That's not gonna be the payment rail that people are gonna use.
that's all there was though back at the start. So it's not like
True.
you had as many options, and that's where maybe this bear market will be a kind of like a cleansing where a lot of these big investors that were in it are going to exit the market, use the, maybe the bounce we've already seen is exit liquidity, but continue to leave. And then as they enter back in during the bear market at the lows we see, that's where maybe they look towards, what's going to be the next big push and the next thing to really take market share. And that's where things like, Avalanche, Solana, Polygon, Algorand, Near Protocol, some of those may start to gain more market share against things like Ethereum.
Well, like from my understanding is this: like if you got Luna's a great example. Like if you're building something that's basically trying to compete with America's U.S. dollar, you're gonna have trouble because
Yeah.
are now fighting the central banks guys who are the U.S. banks, the J.P. Morgans, all those people. So it's all in a group that's going to protect the dollar. So that's why I'm definitely thinking anything that is threatening will be crushed.
in
Like
my
we've seen.
opinion though, stablecoins in general, whether it's UST or USDT, USDC, they help the dollar. I mean, so I don't think they'd be opposed to it. It helps solidify dollar dominance. I mean, most of the stable coins in the space are US dollar denominated stable coins. And there's people in countries all over the world that now move their money around in US dollar denominated stable coins because of the access to it. So it actually helps solidify the US dollar dominance in the world. So I don't think they're actually too opposed to stable coins, but I do think just Luna was not designed in a way that like whether it was an attack or not, that thing was ready. That thing was bound to crumble at some point, regardless. But that does give us a perfect transition into Luna 2.0. What do you guys think of this matter? I mean, I believe they launch what tomorrow or something
Yeah,
like that.
tomorrow
Yeah,
with
let me set
30%.
this scene real
Yeah,
quick. So you like this is the same play we've seen with Ethereum. Something has bad happens on your chain, meaning that it crash or money gets stolen. So they do what we don't like. They fork and they create a new chain, they rebrand and name and act like none of this has happened. And then now they're gonna airdrop tokens out based on snapshots. I think that's crazy.
yeah. I mean, I would
That
I
is
would
definitely
agree. I
crazy.
definitely think it's interesting that it didn't die. But then again, when you have a lot of this big money, and I'm sure there was a lot of big money who got burned. that are eager to not, to kind of, put a fight to try to bring it back. It did say that their 30% is going to be, initially released to people who hold certain amounts or below certain amounts. And then, obviously there's going to be huge vesting cliffs that are 2 years out, 3 years out for people who had more, especially if it's the pre-attack, and then they also have differences between post-attack if you were buying in. The new one, though, will not have the UST, so it's not going to have the stable coin feature to it. This is just going to be the Luna token, so not the stable coin. So you don't have that fear. But I mean, here's what I wonder. If you're someone who, if the people who are initially getting this drop, right, are going to be smaller accounts, because the larger accounts, you're not going to see the majority of yours returned until later. I just feel like it's going to be a huge amount of selling pressure when this gets dropped in tomorrow. Now, I don't know. Maybe, there could be a ton of people or bigger investors ready to gobble it up and try to do a swing trade or a day trade it. But I don't know. It just seems to me like it still is going to have a rough start, especially just coming off the heels of that. But Do Kwon seems like he knows what he's doing, I guess.
I don't.
Look, no, I don't think so. But
yeah,
I'll do.
Not saying he knows what he's doing in a good way. Just he knows, he's. I mean, if he's able to convince 68% of the, of the community to vote in favor of this new fork, like obviously a lot of people still have trust in him.
Yeah, I mean, see what this thing is like weird. Like, where is this liquidity coming from? Where is this money coming from? Like, it's like almost doesn't make any sense if it all crashed and all the money got taken out or disappeared, and then we just create a brand new chain and all of a sudden there's liquidity and everybody's rich again. Like, where's the market cap going to be? Like, where is the money? Do Kwon, answer this question for me.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting, and I do think there's a weird possibility that at least in the first couple hours it launches, there's some weird hype that drives it up, but it definitely, in my opinion, will not last, and I probably will be looking for a way to short it eventually, just because it's like, there's no way that thing doesn't pop. I mean, you made the correlation or connection between what happened with Ethereum and Ethereum Classic, and now Luna and Luna Classic, but the big primary difference really is with Ethereum, it was a hack, and otherwise everything was fine. It was just a hack that took a lot of Ethereum. And with Luna, it was letting the air out of a Ponzi. So like, it's really hard to.
No attack.
Exactly. It's really not the same. I mean, essentially, in effect, it's the same thing. They're starting a new blockchain and trying to start a new, but the level of trust is not the same, because like one was just a hack on a protocol that took a lot of ETH. So it wasn't anything fundamentally wrong with Ethereum, as opposed to Luna, where the entire thing was fundamentally wrong. So it's tough.
Then the other question goes, okay, if it's no UST, the whole Ponzi is basically being exposed. Now we have one token. What is the value that this Luna token is going to bring into the Cosmos ecosystem? That's another question.
Well, the market will certainly determine it.
To the moon, like
yeah. What else? What else do most of these cryptos that are even in the top 25? They're all on hype. Like most of them don't have anything real utility wise to add value. I mean, obviously,
what's
I'm
up with
sure
Anchor Protocol? Is that going to be on Luna 2.0 with no stablecoin?
What was it?
Anchor Protocol, like that was the main platform.
I think it's coming back, right?
Yeah, to do what though? That's like like you know what I'm saying? If it's a stablecoin thing, like what is an Anchor gonna do with no stablecoin? That's like crazy.
Yeah. I mean, that's the thing. There's gonna be a lot of questions, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who are still building on Luna's ecosystem and are excited about building, because obviously that's what they've been doing for the past couple of years. So I'm sure they're they don't want to have to just pivot and move over to an entirely new blockchain and learn new coding language or whatever it may be, even though that might be the better thing long term. But it's a money grab. I mean, that's what so many things in crypto are. And even like I said, if Do Kwon was the guy who facilitated the Ponzi before Luna, and then now he did Luna, and people still have yet to catch on and want to trust this guy. I mean, at that point, you're gambling. And you know what? Hey, it's not illegal to gamble, but
yeah, I will say, I mean, you made a point that like roughly like 68% of them voted for it, and I wonder if it's probably less about trust and more just people that lost a lot of money, just like, what, I'll vote yes on this just in like just in hopes that it works even somewhat to bring like 20% of my bag back, 10% of my bag back, even if it's not, the full 100% or something like that. So I think it's more so exactly just people kind of voting in that, like, this is the last chance to make anything right. Because if you just vote no, really, like, that's the end of it, basically.
Maybe
But if
this
you
is
vote,
maybe it's Do Kwon's way of trying to show in good faith that he tried to help people that he just robbed, so he doesn't go to jail.
I mean, I guess it's better than nothing, but I just can't imagine it works.
No, I can't imagine because like if I lost like a lot of money doing that, first thing I'm gonna do with this thing is sell. I'm gonna
Yeah.
want my money back like
Yep.
immediately. So that's just off the top pressure, selling pressure. And
Hmm.
the bigger the bags go, the more money people are gonna want back.
But that's what I'm saying. Like there could be a lot. If the entire market is volatile tomorrow, and say Bitcoin just say Bitcoin starts to run, and say everything just starts to rise tomorrow, it causes a great opportunity that people would maybe get bullish and think, oh, this is good. It is going to have that recovery. And then yet again, they get wrecked as the bear market continues, crypto winners here, and you see it drop and drop and drop until maybe the next bull run, it starts to run. But yeah, I'm not going to touch it with a 10-foot pole unless it was to
No.
maybe short it if it ran something crazy on day one. Where would you
Yeah.
plan to short it, JT?
Probably one of the centralized exchanges like Binance or something.
Yeah.
On that note,
Wow.
though, let's move. Yeah, let's move on to Algorand and Nigeria. I mean, they're partnering with Koi banks to really do all sorts of government services in Nigeria, including IP rights on the
Yep.
blockchain. So, what do you guys think of this new development?
Well, first let's talk about koi banks.
Let's do it.
Yeah, like so they're doing. They develop payment rails and softwares and help facilitating banks and whatnot to set crypto payments and building financial infrastructure based out of Latin America, right? And then they got the big deal with El Salvador too with Algorand. So now they spreading their wings and they tapping in with even bigger country.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is an absolutely big deal. I mean, for those that can't read this, Algorand, Koi Banks, and Developing Afro, they're working to bring IP rights and royalty distributions onto the blockchain. The partnership is to build a product where the tokenization, exhibition, sales, and royalty payments for all kinds of intellectual property can be done directly on chain. Trademarks, patents, licensing, software, songs, videos, lectures, copyrights, and all forms of streamable content. And I saw somewhere that this is projected to bring about like 1 million new jobs in the area, which is pretty significant, if you ask me.
Yep. Yeah, that's huge. And I gave you a chart too. Like if you look at the population of Nigeria,
Yeah,
they
unfortunately, I
have a
keep getting this view for this paywall right here, but you can kind of see it.
Bastards. Yeah, yeah. They have a super young population and a lot of 4-year-olds. All the way up to 18 is like half over half, I believe, the population. I wish that chart would show up. So what that is like looking into the future, we're talking about Algorand on in 2030. All of these people are getting older. They're gonna get more tech savvy, and they're younger, being younger, introduced to blockchain. And then I see it only being more adopted and becoming more useful in this country. Yeah,
Aha, I found
yeah,
a loophole.
Ring or run around, yeah.
yeah. I'm like, look at that chart, like young folks for sure.
Yep. What is
And
that?
same, yeah,
Let's see. Is that the young folks at the top? Is that what this
yeah,
is?
yeah. It's the youngest. I think that was 4 years old.
Wow.
I believe. Yeah.
That's
So it's
basically
like,
the opposite of our population, really. We have a,
yep.
a lot more old folks in our population than young.
Yeah, yeah. It was 0 to 4 was the top one. Second one down was 5 to 9, and then like the darker one was females.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, the third one down was 10 to 14, and then the fourth one down is 15 to 19. So that's like most of the population.
Yeah, that's a large share of the population that could be getting into this level of technology.
Yeah, yeah. And then like I know they have a I forgot the name of it. It's a Silicon Valley type place in Lagos that is definitely popping with technology. And yeah, it's basically like Silicon Valley. They just developing out there and they're tapped into crypto for sure.
Yeah, for me too, it's like with Leo, the CEO, with what he was kind of saying, because some people were saying, I guess saying that this news or whatever wasn't really that bullish. What's it do for Algorand and how's this going to benefit Algorand and stuff? And I liked his response, which was just like, it might not actually benefit Algorand, the chain or the token price or whatever specifically, but this is a way in which it could benefit Nigerians. And as they continue to
Yes.
partner with other nations, I know one of the other YouTubers caught some flack, for his views, that he posted out about, the whole Nigerian partnership. I've never been to Nigeria, right? I've never been to Africa. I'd love to go someday and experience the culture there. I've been to Haiti 3 times though. And I've seen, an impoverished nation. I've seen a nation run by wicked, corrupt people. Like literally, there's times where we would be there, and if the literally like get this, and back in 2012, like close to right after the big earthquake rocked Haiti, and they were just getting rebuilt. I mean, we literally landed in like a barn. We got like unloaded our luggage from the plane in a barn. It wasn't even like a airport, like you would see in the United States. But we were there, and if the capital, right, if the president of Haiti wanted to throw a party, which he did often, and they needed electricity, the entire, like you could be on the balcony and the entire nation would just go dark. Like the city would just go dark. And if you didn't have a generator, then you're stuck sleeping with, no air and no nothing like
Yep.
that. But you would see a area where the lights are bright. Like the part, there's a part where the rich live, where they're still getting to enjoy the amenities. And it's like when you see like nations like that are just run so different, and oppression and poverty is just rampant. It's like it's good to see companies that are trying to do things to benefit not just the elites but everyone. And so,
Yep.
looking at a country like that, I'm hoping that Koi Banks is able to leverage Algorand, not make Algorand better. Like Algorand is what it is.
Yeah, it's a solution, open
Yeah,
source
it's a
software.
software solution. It's a ledger that can be used by, Koi banks in Nigeria to help benefit people who were getting, ideas stolen, or if they were like trying to sell something, produce something, they're
Yeah.
not able to. And so that's what I'm super bullish on and excited about. I don't know a lot about the inside workings of how Nigeria's government or any of that does work. I'm sure just like many countries that aren't as established, there can be hiccups and tougher things to go over and go through, but it still is exciting to see Algorand is being used for that.
Yeah. Yeah, when you look
Yeah.
at Nigeria too, they definitely have rolling blackouts. I'll be talking to different Nigerian people. Shout out to Kingsley, Fane, Bilal. Shout out to those guys. But Bilal went out there, right? Farming is big. Like he went out there and experienced with the people. We live chat and FaceTime. They're all in the tech, but they definitely just like a lot of African countries, Haiti and all, they're dealing with former colonization. So this is a way, especially like dealing with the French and stuff like that, it's a way for them to get more economically free because they are entrapped. Even Shell Gas Company has a subsidiary in Nigeria. They do oil spills, there's corruption, but the same thing, they blame the locals, but we know who's actually setting this shit up,
Yeah.
especially if you're not speaking your native
I mean,
tongue in
even
some of these places.
Yeah, even Stacey Warden, I forget who tweeted it out. I can go find it, but she had a write up on financial inclusion, and even in it, she kind of talks about how in a lot of underdeveloped countries, just people are skimming off the top, or numbers are
Yep.
falsified and whatnot, and it's just corrupt, right? And so financial inclusion, the way that we reach the unbanked is we have to make the floor to get in very, very minimal, right? And that's
Yep.
what you get with Algorand. You get a low fee transaction. You have that access and that ability for something like Koi Banks to use Algorand to actually get into these markets. Whereas, like, you couldn't do it with ETH. You couldn't do it with,
Hell no.
even Bitcoin is not really doing all that it wants to do in El Salvador, even though the articles will make it seem like it's so much better. I've read many instances where it's not, able to be used the way people want to use it. And, we don't have to go
Yeah,
too
that's a
far
whole
on that
nother
side tangent.
conversation.
You're right.
Yeah, I want to make a comment on these comments. Actually, Market Maker
Yep.
just made my comment for me, but Todd is asking if if we're paid algo shills, and I was gonna say I wish I was a paid algo
Hey,
shill,
I
to be
can
honest.
be. Todd, just
But Market Maker
send me some
said that.
algo.
Yeah, feel free. I mean, we could send you a donation wallet address, and Or there's super chats available too as well if you're feeling like it. But yeah, definitely not. We just kind of do these videos for fun. We enjoy Algorand, but we also talk many other things. We talked Luna, we talked J.P. Morgan and Ethereum and all that. But certainly on that note, let's
Fade shields.
yeah,
Right.
definitely,
Yeah.
definitely.
This isn't even our most like algo centric episode of the next block.
Right.
I was like,
Right.
don't look at my YouTube channel because I got hella Algorand on there then.
Yep. Yep.
Nah, man. I'll tell you. Let me respond to him too.
Yeah, go for it.
What's his name? Ty. Like, the Algorand for me is like, I love financial literacy, education, but Algorand, why I'm so bullish on it, because it's like, it's the software, the technology, it allows for this inclusion. So it's like, if you look at it in that context, it's like, why wouldn't you be, unless you're not into these things, right? So since I am into these things, researching all blockchains ran into Algorand and of course Bitcoin and some stable coins. So it's kind of like a no-brainer to use Algorand for financial literacy. Right.
Perfect. That's perfect. Let's moving on. Do you guys want to talk about the blockchain adoption comments from Stacy's interview? I know you brought that up earlier, David. Or do we want to jump into like launchpad discussions? What do you guys want to do?
The thing I was going to say about Stacy is quick. If we want to touch on that real quick, and then we can jump into
let's do that.
So I was just watching the recoup with her. Talking to him just about, financial inclusion again, but also just, this whole idea of blockchain tech, kind of taking over the trade fi, the centralized banking and all that stuff. And like, we get excited about it, but realistically, we have to remember that there are so many people who make so much money off of the system the way it is, right? I mean, and that's just and I'm just talking about, you could say, the elites, you can call them whatever you want, but there are people who are not only invested in legacy systems, but also are fighting against crypto in so many ways to make sure that at least, to slow it down so that they can get themselves better prepared. But I think even something that we may not be considering as well is imagine if banks were just say, you know what, let's switch, let's make this happen. Let's get over to using the blockchain where we have instant finality. Let's get, mortgage deeds and mortgage records and everything on the blockchain, and smart contracts can just do, all of this stuff. We would have to at some point look and say how many jobs would be gone, right? If you just quickly moved into that new future, right? I mean, think of the middlemen that are right now working in credit unions on settlements. Well, banks and credit unions, but that are processing settlements and doing all those things, escrows and whatnot. Imagine you just moves too fast, right, into this blockchain future, and too many people lose their job. Then I feel like it may usher in a depression, right? If there's not enough people, you're going to have so many people out here trying to do step in and exercise to earn and play to earn and watch to earn, not because they want to, because they have to, right? So I think she made a good comment that it's going to take time for this technology to be incorporated because it is so old, right? Banks are still operating on such old and archaic payment rails, but it needs to be updated. But like it's almost like I was kind of messaging with you, JT. It's like, imagine if by the end of this year, if Elon Musk had the solution for semis, right, for autonomous semis, and he could just take over that whole industry. Like, that's one of the largest workforces is truck drivers, right?
Yep.
So you can't just go in and say, just because we have the tech and just because we have the means, you can't just be like, all right, sorry, all you guys who used to drive and that's how you made your living. We have robots that can do it now. Good luck. So
yeah, I agree and I disagree a little bit.
Let's hear it.
Primarily because the country's gone through plenty of industrial revolutions before, and that have displaced many jobs and primary jobs of the nation at the time. Yeah. And we've evolved, we've created new jobs. We're an ever imaginative species. So there would be temporary disruption in some fields, but I don't doubt that we'll create new sectors of the economy and we'll create new jobs. And it might be tough for some people, and there's always growing pains when things change and when there's evolution. But I'd also kind of like to bring this up to a point. I mean, I know a lot of people are kind of hardcore libertarians in the audience that they might not want to hear this too much, but there was this dream back in the day that as AI and robots took over and started doing more and more of the work that humans did, humans would have to work less and less and maybe only work 10 or 20 hours a week and basically get paid the same amount because that the same amount of work was getting done by robots. That was a dream 20, 30 years ago that was never really seen as a reality. And you could see right here in 1980s, this dark blue line that goes to the top is productivity and this light blue line is wages. And it was a tight correlation right here leading up until the 80s, and then it split where productivity continued to soar and wages kind of went sideways. So, someone's benefiting from this productivity.
And you gotta think
And
that's the internet, coming
No, I
along.
blame.
oh,
It's
that's a
the
lot of
it's
things.
our
I mean,
it's the
like,
Yeah.
Congress,
but
our
it's,
Congress.
I agree. There could be policies in place that let the people benefit in the increased productivity from technology. And I know some people might not necessarily agree with that, but that is where I stand
Yeah.
on the issue.
Yeah, I would
Yeah.
say like the 99% of people have been robbed based on that chart.
Yep.
Because it's
Definitely.
like,
And
yeah, it's like
definitely.
where did the money go? And then when
Uh,
we look again, talking about the stock market, and Nancy Pelosi is a great person too, but they have the bags and all of our productivity is up. Like right now in America, we could all be working that dream of 20 hours a week. Literally, we have enough resources. But if you look at corporate profits and the top 1% and then 0.01%, that's where all the wealth is at. And they're hoarding it and they're not sharing. But we keep working and producing a
Right.
great lot of money too.
Someone just made a comment, said, "Isn't proof of stake the same legacy system, just over again?" What do you guys
Basically.
think there?
I've seen this point made before, and in some situations, kind of. I mean, in the most basic version of proof of stake, I'd argue that, yeah, kind of a little bit. But in a system kind of like pure proof of stake, which is not like a delegated proof of stake or a traditional proof of stake, it maintains that level of decentralization through the power of randomness. So,
Yep.
which is really the key because in most proof of stake situations, the decentralization factor is basically not there because it's those who control the most, have the most stake that control the
Have the
network.
most
But with
say.
the
Yep.
power of randomness, even somebody just holding one algo can be part of consensus, which is kind of revolutionary for proof of stake. So it's taking the efficiency of a proof of stake model, with energy consumption, but adding in that randomness to bring it to a more decentralized nature, so it's not plagued by some of the proof of stake systems.
Yeah, Sylvia will
Yeah.
say like, if you have one algo, you're one algo, and I have a million algos. Both of us have an opportunity to be one of the thousand that is chosen to verify that next block. So that is that pure proof, unlike what Ethereum is turning into, which is a delegated proof of
Yeah,
stake,
where you need
basically.
32 Ethereum, which is over $100,000 right
100K,
now.
yeah.
Yeah.
So for 100K, you can be involved with Ethereum, and then with Algorand, one algo, and we at what 40 cent right now. So 40 cent, you can be involved with Algorand. So it's
Yep.
different. Yeah,
Yep. Absolutely.
yeah. And then think about the legacy systems too. Like it's inevitable over time for it to evolve, and I feel like just our generation is in one of these weird like transition. We're trying to find ourselves like in terms of this financial world and make it more inclusive. 'Cause as I stated before, the wealth gap has divided or got worse, and it's continuously getting worse basically.
Yeah,
So
and it'll be interesting to see how it evolves. Even like that comment I said, with how much money is going to be transitioning from legacy people who are boomers and older, as that money starts to get passed down. It will be interesting to see how. And especially if the economy is more global than it is right now, and it's easier to transact globally. It'll be interesting to see how these markets do change, and if the wealth gap does get worse, which I mean,
I,
obviously.
I will say no one's passing anything down to me to this
oh,
millennial over
Yeah,
here.
I
So
got
hey,
nothing.
I got nothing. I got nothing. I
Every
got to build it
algo,
right now.
every algo I have worked. Well,
yep,
me and my wife have
I'm
worked hard for.
hoping to set myself up so I can be the one passing things down in the
Yeah,
future.
Exactly. I'm trying to
there
be
you
the
go.
grandpa in my family,
But
so
see,
you
even
put the
then, like,
picture up.
how do we get past that as as a human race, right? And how do we start looking towards not just looking toward out for ourselves and our families, but how do we go even further, right? How do
Well,
we become
I'll say
someone where
this.
you can do philanthropy or whatever you want to call it, when as you make it, not only can you I guess, set your family's future, but also go out and then help others. Because that's the thing that gets left behind. You got people out here saying win Lambos and win this, win that. It's like
Lambo.
all those things are cool, but like there's so many other amazing things that you can do with your money than buy stupid cars and
Well,
whatnot.
a big problem I see too, like, and this is a whole system change, a whole nother conversation, but it's the rights and ownership of land. There was a time where everyone shared the land. There was no such thing as land ownership. You can live in the area, but we all communicated and shared, and same with the animals and nature. But once capitalism took over, it's all about own, 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 own. And as
Yeah.
we know, in America, the way this country started, it was already a situation where all the land was already bought up, and now that shit just spread around the world. And looking at these housing prices, we see it only goes up over time. Like, JT, if you got the rents charts, can you pull that up? Or it's like the charts of rents. I should have sent it to you, but
Yeah, I'll look for it.
yeah, it's just a good thing to look at because that's the one thing that continuously goes up. And if
Well,
you're
it continuously
proper-
goes up because the value,
Yeah.
the money that it's valued in is being hammered to the ground. I mean, that's why you've seen how home prices fly through this roof the last couple
Yeah.
years, especially is because we just printed inflation just has taken off, and even the numbers they're showing us aren't really the inflation that we're seeing.
No.
And so that's the reason. I've seen some people say my house didn't get any nicer. It didn't get any bigger in the
None
last
of 'em.
couple of years. And if you've not done any work to it, which that's highly unlikely that you've not done any work to your home, it's actually you've put more money into your home to keep it at the
Yep.
same level of working. If not, it's deteriorated some. Yet the price has gone up. But
Yeah. So the problem again, you like, it's profit come for what we need: housing, food, clothes, and shelter is not great for making profit, in my opinion. Oh my God, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Trust me, guys. I firsthand a part of this. We moved down here into St. Pete last year, and St. Pete's actually it's one of the highest right now as far as growing in rents. With like Tokyo and places in LA, like it's one of the highest. When we moved in, our rent was I won't say specific. Well, I don't really care. It was rough. I think it was like 1,600 for a studio right down here in St. Pete. $1,600 was base. And now, if we were to, well, I'll even put this: a 2-bedroom was 2,200. I think right when if we would have got a 2-bedroom, I think it was like 2,200 was base. Now they add in some other things, but if we were to renew and get a 2-bedroom now, right now it's 3,700. $3,700 for a 2-bed, and it's
Damn.
not even the glamorous 2 bedrooms. It doesn't have a view or anything. It's there's other ones that are more expensive. It's insane right now.
So that's definitely a problem. It's crazy.
Yeah, no, it is pretty wild. I mean, I am a realtor currently, and housing prices are already coming down, but not as quick as you would expect with this situation. I really
Here, I
do.
got another chart.
And this is why I feel like, because we are, just like you said, C. Will, like, or maybe
pull
it's
this one
JT,
up,
we're
too.
heading towards something, bigger that's coming, like a really big shock, calamity, whatever you want to call it. I'd still feel like and the government has kicked this can as far down, they just keep kicking the debt and everything down the road even further. I feel like another, I think they will at some point stop the rate hikes. I think they're going to go back to printing more money, here in what could be, because that's the only way they keep this thing going, right? Is they just got to print more money to make people happy, but in the cycle is going to keep continuing until something gives. And that's why a lot of people are saying Bitcoin, right? Bitcoin solves this, right? It's deflationary. You can't just keep printing more. And maybe there is going to be a big, financial, shift, and in people who are more positioned in digital assets, maybe they will end up taking over and owning a lot.
Yeah. So look at this. This chart is crazy too.
Yep. Yeah, it pretty much shows a real similar thing, just with the rents average. It doesn't go to 2021 as the other one, but the last one actually showed less on the average and more. The total is this blue, but then the yellow line is like
Moderate.
3-star moderate quality. You've got lower quality in the red or orange line, and then this like black line higher quality, which has just gone through the roof. So
And it's like income is not, I will say,
Oh yeah,
me
pull
and
the
my wife,
average income.
yeah, me and my wife,
725.
moving to St. Pete, we're making more than we were, or well, she's making more than than she was back when she worked in Kentucky. But that's just because the average income is way higher here in St. Pete, Tampa than it was back home. But like income, we're not people aren't being paid more for the hours of work they do. So it's like it is definitely the financial and housing and all these bubbles are, some have already deflated and popped. I mean, we've seen the stock market erase like what, huge amounts in some stocks, but even the overall S&P is down, a good amount. And so it's like, I don't know, there definitely could be something, bigger falls coming, but I still think that, the government's going to come in and do what they always try to do, which is kick the can further down the road.
This is such an interesting chart right here. So this is the median household income in the 21st century. The red line is the income not adjusted for inflation. So basically you could ignore that. When you adjust for inflation from 2000 to 2021, income's basically flat. You know what I mean? Back in 2000, the median household income was like 62K, and 21 years later, it's like 66K. It's like what, like a 5% increase or something like that, 4 or 5% increase, where you have, the housing costs going up by what, just in the last year, up by about 14% in some situations. And that's just in 2021. That's not including 2022 data. So you've got like a 14% or higher increase in 2021 in rents alone, but only like a 5% increase in wages over the last 2 decades, which is wild.
And that's why it's like so important to like financial literacy and learning about, obviously my first job was in it, like first career job, I guess you could say, was working at a credit union. So at an early age, I was kind of lucky to like, be able to not only learn about money and about business and stuff like that, but also like just see firsthand people come in and take loans out and see like how each person interacted differently, right? And seeing like guys with big business accounts coming in and what they were doing and whatnot. And it just goes to show that financial literacy is needed in the world we live in. And the reason why people won't be prepared for this is the same reason they've never been prepared. And it's like, I think about some of my family members. They have no idea, even if they're invested right now, they have no idea what's going on. Like all they care about, literally all they care about right now is what's on the news, what their sports team is doing, and and to some extent, maybe it's ignorance is bliss, right? Maybe not knowing this, you have so much to worry about in the real in that world, not worrying about the stock market crash and crypto crash could be a blessing, but I think it will prove. I'm hoping it proves well.
Right now. Bad year for retirements.
For sure. And honestly, we'll go back to this chart real quick. What it kind of shows is
hit loans to pay loans.
Amen,
right?
You're really not going to save your way to riches.
No.
Your money is losing value over time. And yes, this period of assets declining rapidly is rough. Over the next 5, 10, 20, 30 years, when we're all getting ready for retirement, the valuable assets will be much more beneficial to hold than just trying to save in dollars. Like there's no way to save into riches. You really have to invest your way there, which goes back to David's prior point on financial literacy and why it's so important. And to your other point that is less important, but you made a point about watching your favorite, knowing about your favorite sports team and what have you. And I just gotta give a shout out to the Celtics that could take it down tomorrow in Game 6. Hopefully they'll win the round and we can see Algorand's symbol up throughout the playoffs for at least one more round.
That would be nice. Shout out to I want to get some shout outs too. Shout out to Mel in the comments, Market Maker, Deshaun, Menasha, Vince, where we got Damien, Charles, Zaid. Who else we missed? That's JT Invest.
Yep,
Tide,
that's me.
I know Charlie. I knew we was someone else in there we missing.
What happens? Zaid just said, "What happens if DeFi gets KYC'd, especially in the U.S.? Will it be a death blow to it?"
This would be a really interesting thing that if it would happen. It's super hard to speculate. My hunch is that it would definitely hurt it a lot. As with anything, I think humans are adaptable and we would figure it out. But I do think it would be, it wouldn't be good. I'll just leave it at that. It wouldn't be good.
Yeah. Because I couldn't imagine trying to KYC to use Algo. I'd be like, I might as well go to
Yeah,
my bank.
I wouldn't. I'd be like, all right, I guess I'm using the VPN now, and I'm using all the DeFi products that don't KYC.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, it's like crazy. Oh
Let's
wow.
see. There was the only other topic I know we wanted to talk about was the launch pads. It's interesting because I just saw Algo launch tweeted out like 15, 20 minutes ago that they're doing something in Korea right now, like a in-person event or something. But
Huh.
the Algo DAO obviously had a pretty rocky start for its launch pad. What are your all's thoughts there?
Oh man, from what I'm seeing, and I had Nathan Kaiser on my channel too before the
Yeah.
launch, and so we was trying to get all the questions out that the community was talking about. But the interesting part is that they basically seem to had a bad launch in their launch pad,
Yeah.
and their token for, and then from the rumors,
But they're going
I
to help
know.
other projects launch.
Exactly. And from the rumors, don't quote me on this, but they also started buying their own tokens so they can hit their minimum threshold. And I
Yeah.
think again, when you're looking at these type of markets, if I will say if you're not using U.S. investors as well, because we're really bullish and buy a lot of crypto, you're missing out on a big market. That's how I'm seeing it right now.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't want to dive too much into what's going on with Algo DAO. I mean, it does seem like they had a rocky launch. Did also seem like they were buying back some of their IDO, which is, in my opinion, a little odd. And
Yeah.
there still are some concerns about the fact that they have just a 1% public allotment for the community. Otherwise, though, I mean, we really do need an actual DAO product. I won't be buying the token, but I do hope they're successful in launching great products because Algorand needs more great products. And if they're successful in doing that, then more power to them. I hope they are.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, if more launch pads, look up Crypto Nerds launch pad.
Oh yeah.
He got one, Algo Fund, Citrus, and then somebody talk about Fame. Tap in with Fame, Algorand, Bilal, or you can tap in with Seawell PDX. Send me a DM. I'll tell you about Fame. They got a Telegram. It's a community group doing some positive things. So tap in.
Yeah, Algo Fund is still relatively new. On the Launchpad, the only thing they've launched is the Algo Fund itself. So far, they don't have anything else coming up. They do have a couple staking pools where you can stake Algo Fund, you can stake Wrapped Algo Fund, and OGS. What is that? Orbital? I forget the name of that, but regardless, there's some farming pools as well with Algo Fund and Nerd tokens, and a governance proposal, which has already ended. But yeah, definitely check it out. I think launch pads are extremely important. So hopefully every product that's trying to launch a launch pad is successful. So we don't have any more of these really odd launches.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard. I'll say it's a bear market, y'all. So everything is going to look bad right now. And
Yeah.
we're also, check this out, it's layered.
To be
We
fair, there were
got,
some things that were
yeah.
looking bad at launches during the bull market too.
Yes, yes. So we got an overall down crypto market, an overall down equities market. And then we expect to launch an alternative of an alternative coin. And then thinking it's going to go up, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's tough right now.
Yep. Yeah, I wasn't necessarily talking about the token price itself, just more there were concerns outside of the token price. I think that the
Yeah, like
community
that
was bringing.
1%. Yeah, that
Yeah.
1% for the community. I thought
Yeah.
that was interesting too.
But that being said, I mean, I do completely agree that any complaining about the price of any token right now, unless it's performing like really really poorly against its competitors, everything's going down at the same time. Everything's going up at the same time right now. The market's heavily correlated. There
Yep.
isn't much acting in unison or by itself. So, really, you just got to sit tight and unfortunately, kind of sit there as the market hits you in the face for the next 6 months, really.
Well, this is where
Yeah,
you
but
build wealth, though. This is where you build your positions. That's what
100%.
yeah, this is it.
100%. I
Yeah.
mean, I'll be honest, really since basically last governance period to this next upcoming one, I've probably almost like 2.5x to tripled my algo bag. So I mean, this bear market's really a blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I was about to ask you,
I think
JT. I
so.
know you asked me earlier. What are some of your all's buys set at right now? Where are you looking at accumulating more when it comes to algo?
Well, I buy non-discriminately every Thursday. So I just buy a random amount. Well, it's not random. It's a set amount every Thursday. Uh, I have been doing daily purchases, but just with a small amount of some of my DeFi rewards still. Just been selling some of that. Pretty much every other day I stake and then I sell, primarily just because I want ASAs underneath like 5-6% of my portfolio. Not because I don't
Hmm.
like the ASAs, just because
Right.
I don't like things weighted too heavily on my portfolio. But regardless, other than that, really looking at the mid 30s ranges, low 30s, and if we break that, really low 20s as well. But
Mm.
I don't have any buy orders set because I don't really use any centralized exchanges. I really should because there's numerous times where I'm like, oh, I wish I had an
When
order set,
go
but
to
I,
bed, wake up in the morning, and you miss the bottom.
yeah,
Yeah. Well,
yeah,
good
yeah,
update. Crypto.com now got limit orders, so you could just pick your price and wait till it get there.
yeah,
So
yeah.
I'm about to start using that.
Most
Well,
centralized
that's my
exchanges
favorite
have that.
exchange. Yeah.
KuCoin's got that.
Mexi, I
Yeah,
think.
Bittrex,
Hmm.
which is one of the first exchanges I used back in 2017. Nobody really talks about that exchange actually, but it's one of the best in my opinion. But
Good choice.
regardless, that being said, I am buying pretty much every day or every week, so it doesn't really
Yeah, I'm
matter.
yeah, I'm going back to
At
weekly and just looking for those, dips. I just bought some yesterday at 40 cent or 39, 40 cent, and then going back to weekly like JT. And if it hits 25, definitely I'm gonna take out a loan. No, I'm playing.
Yep.
I'm just playing.
And Deshaun is saying that Algodex doesn't work in the U.S. Everyone's saying, yeah, you can use a VPN, which is true, but they
Yes.
are also opening up at least select assets to U.S. residents over the next couple of days. I just had him on for a show, maybe yesterday or the day before, where he announced that to the audience. So in a couple of days, U.S. residents will be able to trade like Algo and Go BTC, Go ETH, and a
NFTs, I
couple of the
think.
bigger ones, and
Yeah.
they'll also be able to trade every single NFT will be tradable for U.S.
Oh,
residents.
nice.
Yep.
They were also asking Adam Janey was saying any interest in the Algo Dex token launch next week.
Yeah, on the 31st. Personally, just because of the market conditions, no.
Yeah, me neither.
No, no for me.
I haven't really even been watching any token launches. I mean, obviously, there's even with like the Cosmic Champs and some of the other ones that have happened recently, like during the bear market, if you're like even the Luna thing tomorrow, like if you're someone who's going to be watching that, like there is probably, I would assume the volatility is going to be so high.
Oh
Yeah,
my
you're
God.
going to be able to make some money, but you're going to have to be fast, right? You're
Yeah,
going
you
to have
got
to
to be
make
a good
sure.
trader.
Yeah, you're going to have to make sure you have your blinders on, you have a goal, you hit it, you get in, you get out, just so
Yep.
you don't get caught holding the bag. And that's the way it is with IDOs, ICOs, whatever they are right now. You might, and even some cases, the exchange you're on might be, like because you have decentralized exchanges versus centralized exchanges, arbitrage and things like that. If you're
Yep.
quick enough to be able to do that stuff. I mean, there's tons of ways, but I feel like for the most part in the bear market, buying anything on an IDO is very risky if you're planning on holding it long.
Yep. Yep.
They trade that.
Yeah, absolutely. On that note,
Definitely not interested either. dot, dot, dot.
yeah. Do we have anything else that we want to add to this discussion before we wrap it up?
I don't
Ah,
know. Just Algo, right now, just get excited about building, right? If you're someone who's in the ecosystem, like, and you are, even if you're just you don't have dev experience, like I don't have any dev, I can't develop a app or anything like that, and I'm not that tech savvy, but there are tons of discords and tons of jobs out here. I feel like for people who want to get more plugged into specific projects that you like, I would just say, do your part, because that's it. It's a network effect, right? Bitcoin
Yep.
started with very, very, very few people, and it had big, growths and valleys. But during those valleys is when you kind of continue to share it with your friends, continue to grow, help build. So just get plugged in somewhere, help the community grow, and do your part.
yep.
And in 5 years, I don't know, 3 years, 5 years, whatever it is, we'll all be high fiving somewhere, sipping martinis.
Okay. Yeah.
No, it's
I was.
absolutely.
Yeah. I'll say check your 5 year plans. Or if you
Yeah.
don't have one, create a 5 year plan. Put some good goals in there, and then try to reach them. I know that has not totally have to do with crypto, but crypto is in my 5 year plan. And then
Yep. Absolutely.
so we build in positions.
Yeah, and to David's point, I mean, network effects are really powerful, and not everybody has the dev experience or the coding experience to help out on their favorite projects or blockchain, but you'd be amazed at the power of just a like or a subscribe or a reshare of someone's article or tweet to get the word out outside of the bubble that's already seeing it. Because we appreciate everyone in the audience that regularly tunes in, but you guys already know the good word. Like, we're not here
You
to
already know the good word.
exactly. We're not here
I
to
like
for sure though. We're not here to convince you that Algorand is great. I mean, you all know that we love
Oh
Algorand,
no.
but the goal is to try to get more and more people aware because you talk to people that are slightly into crypto and there's still plenty of people that aren't aware of Algorand. So
Yep.
we need to do our part to help elevate everybody so we're not just still talking in a circle into our bubble.
Market maker. Yeah. You
Exactly.
smart.
5-year plan is to not go homeless. That's a good 5-year plan. I wish you the best of luck with that one.
It's because he's betting too much on those games out there. He's got too much money riding on sports games.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
man. Well,
Buy the 10-year to own Costa Rica. Hey, I hear great things
Bet
about
the
Costa Rica.
market maker. Bet the Heat are gonna push it to Game 7. They're not gonna fold in Game 6
No,
like
I'm about to short the
like
Heat.
JT wants.
Celtics are taking it down tomorrow. I'm telling you.
Who's got the home? Who has a home court advantage if it does go to Game 7? Does it go back to the Heat?
Yeah, back to the Heat. Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
You better
Which
hope
is-
they close it out. Yeah.
Yeah, I hope they close it out tomorrow. They win Game 6 tomorrow with the Algorand symbols flying around the jumbotron. It'd be great.
That would be nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll say I was a bigger Celtics fan back when growing up. My dad was a
Paul
Celtics
Pierce?
fan. Yeah, Paul Pierce there. My dad was a
KG.
Celtics fan. I liked them. My other brothers were Lakers fans, but obviously, watching the East Coast finals, it was always, especially when LeBron made the big move to Miami, that was it, man. It was the Heat versus Celtics, and those were the fun games. I still remember that one, a couple years later, I think Paul Pierce maybe already out, where LeBron had the steal and the massive dunk on Jason Terry. And that kind of put the nail.
Oh
in the
yeah,
coffin.
yeah. That was crazy.
That just solidified that Celtics aren't making it out of the East anymore, but hopefully they can.
Oh man.
Yeah,
Sorry
to
we
hear
had
that, market
1,500
maker.
shrimp.
I think there's like a shrimp NFT thing. I don't think he's eating a lot of shrimp.
But yeah, man, talk about basketball. Like I was a Sacramento Kings fan. So
Oh, yeah.
heavy with Chris Webber and Mike Bibby
Oh, yeah.
and Peja Stojakovic and shit.
Yeah.
And I did love KG and Boston. Too.
Jason, what was it? Jason
Yeah.
Bibby?
Mike Bibby. Yeah.
Mike Bibby. There we go.
Yeah. Doug Christie. Like I used to love that. Like I
Right.
wish they would have won the championship, but goddamn Lakers, right?
All right. Can we just talk really quick about how Steph Curry still didn't make the NBA? Start the all-season team 1. He put the all-season team 2. How?
When?
I'll say this:
This year?
not one player from the Warriors was put on the NBA All-Team 1.
Wow.
They're literally like, name a better duo right now than Steph Curry, Klay Thompson.
No one.
fun
And
to
they,
watch.
they
He literally
won,
shot
like,
a 3 a couple nights ago and literally looked at the bench and said "night," and it went in. He's like imagine being so good at your craft that like you don't even have to look to watch the ball go in. You can literally just look over
Hey,
and
listen, that's what I do with this
pull
show.
a Swaggy P and start dancing with it.
I'd be
and
like,
it
"Night."
runs down the background.
Nothing but net.
Yeah.
All right, y'all. You want to close out?
Let's
Yeah.
close out. I appreciate everyone for tuning in. Don't forget to like and subscribe to these videos. Give us subscribe to Crypto for Change, JT Invest in You, and the Passive Income Network. And we'll catch you in the next one, guys. Take care.
Heat and
Peace, y'all.
7.